Welcome, Colonel North. First, just give us your take on concerns over extremism in the U.S. military.
Well, Jenna, obviously there are issues, and this is not the first time we've talked about loyalty in our military. Back in World War II, young guys coming into the military, when they were drafted, were asked, are you now or have you ever been a member of the Communist Party or part of a communist group? And then it was broadened to include Nazis. And that idea of a loyalty oath has been with us for a long time. My concern is, we in the military, we've got an expression that we use, particularly when you're about to go into a very dangerous situation. The guy next to you says, "I have your back." Now, those four words aren't some kind of sentiment. It's a pledge. It's like the modern version of that pledge, our honor, our sacred honor, and our lives and fortunes, going all the way back to the Declaration of Independence. It's loyalty up and loyalty down. It's not a matter of trying to hope that somebody at the top of the pyramid is going to back you up. It's expected. And my concern is that an awful lot of this sounds like a witch hunt. By that, I mean, it's not something about, well, we've been seen in the Ku Klux Klan garb. It's a guy who might have gotten a tattoo or some kind of pattern, a St. George cross, for example, which is being used by bad people to do bad things. None of us want to have those who are not loyal to our country and to the oath that we took to one another and our country and to protect and serve the Constitution. None of us want people in our military who can't do that, who won't do that. My question is, if those of us who believe in, for example, traditional marriage, or don't want to be serving with people who are going to make you less ready, like, for example, someone who's at a sex change operation can't be deployable, are you still allowed to say things like that in our military? Or is that the kind of thing we're now going to keep banned as part of this witch hunt? That's my concern.
Yeah, it's a good question. What are your thoughts on Defense Secretary Austin's comments that you heard there?
Well, look, it sounds like the right kind of thing. The problem is when you start going after someone's politics or, for example, their moral behavior. For example, I'll give you the issue. Transgender personnel can't serve overseas. They can't go into combat. They can't be deployed. And yet this administration is going to make that mandatory. You can come in the military to have a sex change operation. And even though you're not deployable, it doesn't contribute a thing. So if you stand up and say that, or a chaplain says something about the way people behave in marriage out of the Bible, is that going to be banned? Is that the kind of thing that's going to be deemed to be disloyal? And so my concern is, I think it's wonderful to make sure that we've got loyalty in the ranks. Form 86, standard form for security clearance, used to be 4 pages long. It's now over 100 pages long. And they want to know absolutely everything about you to get a security clearance. I look at those kinds of things and I say, okay, that's good. But if a kid got a tattoo that somebody now deems to be the wrong kind of thing, are we going to throw him out of the military? I hope not.
Colonel North, so what's the solution here? Is there a better answer than tamping down on what the culture is labeling as extreme?
Well, look, just because I'm a white person does not mean I'm a racist. According to the Washington Compost, the nearest newspaper to where I'm sitting right here in my office in Dulles, Virginia, according to them, just because I'm white, I'm a racist. That's just baloney. I mean, the bottom line of what we are as a culture isn't necessarily being defined anymore by professors on college campuses that won't let conservatives go out and speak. They're not necessarily going to be defined by somebody getting a tattoo that somebody now deems to be the wrong kind of tattoo to have when you join the military. Remember, this is an all-volunteer force. I mean, we can't just draft people off the streets and send them into the armed forces anymore. Since 1973, it's been an all-volunteer force. You really want to alienate everybody by, well, let's see, what's your real view on this particular issue? I don't think that a political litmus test is what we want in our military.
Yeah. Oliver North, Colonel North, we have to ask you and congratulate you on your new book. What can you tell us about it?
In fact, this is interviews with 500, actually more than 500 veterans of our armed forces. And these are guys that we've served with, and we're asking them those same kinds of questions. I mean, What is it that makes you now ask the question, Veterans Lament, is this the America our heroes fought for? I mean, the bottom line of this book is the warning call that I just sounded right now. The troops that I served with and that David and I interviewed for this book, those kinds of young Americans know the meaning of those words, I've got your back. And they're asking, can our current administration, even though this book was written before before Biden came to office, the views reflected in this book are the kinds of things we're talking about right now in this broadcast with you, Jenna.
Yeah, extremely relevant. And just real quickly for our viewers, where can they find your book? How can they get a hold of it?
Well, Amazon hasn't dropped it yet. My publishing company, Fidelis Publishing is out there to help people who otherwise couldn't get published somewhere else, but you can still get it at Amazon.
All right, Colonel Oliver North, it's always good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks, Jenna. Great to be with you.